Good evening and welcome to what was meant to be Dangerous Monday's overview of the Frontier Expo. I'm Dave Selezen Hughes, and I'm sorry to say that Monday's stream was a bit of a nightmare. Yes, those of you who possibly watched the broadcast on the night probably saw that Twitch had a lot of problems, so we ended up having to stop the stream halfway through, and I only really got through a little bit of the stuff that I wanted to get through. So sadly we are not doing this as part of a broadcast. We're doing it straight to YouTube. So hello YouTube, and hello hopefully those of you Twitch viewers who had some problems getting through to me. Now I've actually noticed this evening that my same problem I'm actually using YouTube Live, so I'm not sure what's going on at the moment as far as networks are concerned. I don't know if it's something to do with me, if it's something to do with the host where these things encode from, or what. I have no idea what's going on. But we're not going to dwell on it, we're just going to go beyond. So yes, this evening we are having a look at what's lying ahead for the next year. And I know quite a lot of streamers have already done this kind of stuff, because obviously that was on Saturday, this is Monday. There's been a few days of eager people wanting to get this information out there, and I'm one of them. But obviously the live stream on a Monday is my usual time for doing that sort of stuff, but we're obviously not doing it now, so here we go. Okay, I've got a kind of rough script going. I had recorded some of the YouTube videos onto files so that I could play them across the video, but sadly the volume didn't work on them. So rather than faff around, I'm just going to put the videos on, and at least give me something to look at. I may chat over them at the moment as I'm talking here, but here we go. I mean, this is the teaser trailer for it all. I'll come back to some of the imagery that's in this later on. But there's some interesting things that I don't think a couple of people have noticed. So I'm going to go into that a little bit later on. But I've got, as I say, I've got a little bit of an itinerary going on this evening. But as you can see from this, there's quite a lot of action up ahead. So yeah, I'm sorry about the volume thing, the lack of audio on that. But for some reason my video editing skills escape me this evening. Well, there you go. Now, as I said, I'll come back to some of that later on, but for now I'm going to go through a little bit of the imagery that we're getting. Now, not imagery, but some of the updates that we're getting. So initially the first thing that I would note is there's quite a bit of stuff happening as far as the visual loveliness of the game. Now, as you know, I'm an avid explorer in the game, and my favourite part of it is the exploration aspect of the game, which just makes me all kind of shivery seeing all the beauty that's out there. A lot of people say it's kind of samey, but I would say that that's part of the beauty. If you've got something gorgeous, then you keep looking at the same gorgeous thing, and it doesn't really get tiring for me. Other people may find it different, but that is something that is hopefully going to change along with some new graphics. So I'm going to show another quick video. Again, no sound, but there wasn't any sound with this one anyway. But what we're looking at here is the update to the graphics for actual planets themselves. So all the rocky planets, all your favourite things to land on, are going to get a huge facelift over the coming year. As you can see, rather than the beige, grey, white, slightly blue kind of textures we've had before, which have always been kind of samey across the world, now you've got a huge array of colour going across there. A whole lot of detail, different aspects of all. We've got mountains, we've got valleys, we've got proper upside downy type stuff, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. Anyway, we'll sort of linger on a couple of those images. So that's our first one there. We've got a kind of greenish moon, which could possibly be coppery. Now this is one of the things that I wasn't sure of, because I wasn't actually in the hall with the presentation being done, because I tried to get in there and I was lumped at the very back and I couldn't see shit. But apparently there was someone set up a TV in the main hallway, so I sat in front of that and watched what was going on, but sadly the sound for it wasn't great. But that didn't make any difference, because all I was wanting to look at was the visual loveliness. The only downside of it is that obviously I don't know what the explanations for each difference were. Now, although they're having quite a lot of colour differences on there, I don't know if the colours will be mixed in with what the planets actually have on them. For example, this greenish tinged world, does that mean it has copper on it? A red tinged world, would that mean it has iron on it? You know, will it have any aspect of letting you understand actually what's on that planet itself? So then you've got quite a reddish planet. So your ground is quite red with a mix of pink and green in there. Does the red mean that that's iron? Could that be iron already to be picked up? The mountains being a different colour, is that just the underlying rock? Is that the strata? So if the shaders are intelligently done to give that kind of feel of this is what's on this world, this is what you're going to find when you land on it, that is going to be one hell of a boon for both exploration and for people who are seeking material. And I think it's going to be a huge add-on to the game. I think even if it doesn't have that scientific factor on there, I still think it's going to be an amazing addition to the game, because it's going to give it so much more depth. Your SRVs are now going to feel that they're actually doing something important, and it's going to be absolutely amazing, I think. So I am looking forward to that, because that's going to make these. Because I seem to be getting quite well known for doing screenshots as I finish my streams on a Monday night, and I think the added depth and colour for these planets is going to make those screenshots even better. So I am quite looking forward to that. So yeah, as you can see there, I mean the spokes radiating out from that impact crater are much more vibrant now, and actually shows the ejector much more clearly. So obviously your underlying colour for that world is a kind of reddish colour, whereas the top layer is a kind of bluish white, but you've got the ejector matter spread across there, which makes it look much more realistic and much deeper. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think the one query I do have is the so-called demon planets, the kind of black worlds that have the kind of volcanic underlay. Are they going to get any change? And are we going to get to land on them anytime soon? Because I'm quite looking forward to landing on them. So yeah. But yes, I am really looking forward to that change. That goes in with a load of other changes towards the planets that I'm quite looking forward to. But I'll come to that in a second. I'm going to touch very quickly on mining. Now this screenshot here is one of the screenshots that came up in relation to some announced changes for mining. Now again, I didn't have much of a clue what they were talking about at this point, because people kept talking over the video. But from what I hear, there are going to be kind of deep mining operations and deeper mining issues. There are also going to be explosives that you can use in missions for mining and stuff like that as well. So I'm quite looking forward to that being something that comes up. We'll obviously see much more clearly. There's going to be, obviously, other people are probably going to have done videos that are far clearer than me. I wasn't a VIP and I couldn't get to the front to hear what people were talking about. But yeah, so apparently there's going to be a bit of a revamp to mining, which is good. Mining was, in my mind, a little bit samey. A lot of people say the same about exploration, but there is only really a one-hit pony within mining, and the last buff it really got was the limpets, the collection and the ones that check out what they are. Oh, can't remember the name. Oh, don't matter. Yes, that's quite looking forward to that one. And one of the things that comes off the back of the exploration side of things is this concept art here, which is what they actually want to move towards in terms of what planets are going to start to look like. So rather than just having valleys and rock formations that are fairly smooth and fairly regular, they're going to have the opportunity to have this kind of landscape where you've got sheer cliffs with cracks in them. You've got stuff coming out of the ground, you've got cracked formations, and you've just got a lot more interesting formations on there, rather than just your basic terrain type objects. But this is an early concept. This is what they want to work towards. Now, they haven't made it clear whether or not this is the ultimate goal of the Q4 release that we saw in the roadmap, or if this is something that they're going to achieve at some point before that, or even sometime after that. I didn't hear a lot of confidence, because this is one of the bits I did hear, didn't hear a lot of confidence that they could actually achieve this by the end of this season, but it is definitely something they're working towards. So good luck to them on that, and I hope that comes out. So we have the biggest thing as far as I'm concerned is the upcoming new ships have been announced. Now we have 2 on the way that are for definite, and 1 possible, which hasn't been specifically mentioned, but I will touch on later on. And that one is this one. This is the Chieftain. It is, from all intents and purposes, an Alliance ship, but apparently it has been manufactured by either, now there was 2 conflicting opinions on this. To me it looks like a Lakon ship, and someone did say that it was a Lakon Alliance collaboration. Prospector, that's the limpet I was trying to think about. Prospector limpets, sorry. As you can see, it looks semi-militaristic, especially in this kind of delivery that they've given it for this concept art. But as you can see, it has engine nacelles on the ends of 4 wings, and those rotate. The little video kind of shows on the very edge there is a sort of moving area that looks like it may rotate, so I'm not entirely sure whether that is going to or not. But yeah, that looks like a fairly beefy bit of kit, and as I say, to me it looks like it's a Lakon ship. It doesn't look like a Falcon de Lacy ship, it looks like a Lakon ship to me, and it does look very, very nice. It looks like it could be a kind of battle cruiser type thing, and I'm thinking it's quite big. I'm thinking we're looking at something Python or higher size here, given the size of the engines. So I'm saying it could be a military type transport. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's gonna have vehicle hangars, or fighter hangars, sorry, and it's going to be some kind of carrier vessel. Now that brings me to something that comes up later on, is the term carrier vessel, because there are this kind of concept being brought out there potentially. The other ship that has been announced is this one. Now, looks familiar, doesn't it? That's because it should do, because it is the crate. At last we have a crate. The crate is incoming. As you see, it is significantly different from what it looked like in the concept art originally. It does look very, very nice, and it is very reminiscent of the original design of ship, and they've kept a very close match. And I don't know if this is a final work for it, if this is the final model, or if it's another concept piece, or if it's one of the potentially halfway house models for it. But essentially it's on its way, dudes. It really is on its way. At last it's coming. But one interesting thing I would say in terms of scale is, if you look at the cockpit area there, let's see if I can expand this out a little bit. Look at that cockpit area. There seem to be 3 distinct windowed areas, so 3 distinct cockpit areas with 3 distinct, I'm pointing at them with the mouse, you can't see what the hell I'm doing, with 3 distinct display areas, or desks basically, in that region, which makes me wonder if it's going to be a significantly larger ship than the original crate was. Because one of the reasons that Frontier have had so many problems with doing the crate is because they've said that it's far too small in its original incarnation to be a functional ship. It would be entirely cockpit. Excuse me faffing about with the size there. I'm just trying to get this all back on screen again in time for the next image coming up. But yeah, so the cockpit size there would indicate it's quite a large ship. Although, not knowing what size the cannons are on the end of that, I don't know what perspective you would give that. But one thing I have looked at is the size of the engines. Now it's 4 engines with banks of 3 in there, banks of 3 nacelles in there, which would indicate that it's a fairly big engine rack, so a fairly big engine potentially. And that's what makes me think that I think we're in for quite a what makes me think we could be in for a ship that's got quite a bit of power behind it. And I'm thinking we're going to be looking at slightly beyond, not slightly beyond, but potentially Viper size maybe. I'm even thinking potentially a little bit bigger. I'm wondering if it could be between Asp and Viper size, maybe Vulture type size. I mean, it was pointed out that the front elevation The cockpit again is in between sort of two pins, sort of two extrusions at the front, so between two noses, I don't know, whatever you'd call them. So is it going to be a Falcon de Lacy design again, or is it going to be another Leica one? But apparently again this could be an Alliance design, coming from the Alliance shipyards, which would fit with the slightly different configuration of cockpit. Is it going to be another Lakon collaboration, or is it going to be a whole new shipyard? We don't know yet, because we don't actually have any specific Alliance shipyards actually in the game. It's all either Independence, Independence, Federation, or Imperial. So we're not sure, but it does look like a very interesting design. I do like it. It's very nice. It has a lot of departure from the other design methodologies that you've seen in different ships. The interesting thing I would note about the front of this ship, when you look at where the cannons are coming out, is that they don't seem to have much of a space to retract into, which is either making me think that this is either a non-retractable option, or there is a slightly different retraction mechanism than we've seen before, which would again indicate it could be a different type of manufacturer. So I'm looking forward to seeing where the crate goes. I'm looking forward creatively to seeing what they do with it, and if it's going to come from the Alliance, I'm going to really enjoy hearing what the background of the ship's design is. So yes, I'm looking forward to the crate very, very much. Now, I'm not sure whether to add this on, and I think I will actually. During that trailer, that teaser video that I showed you there was a couple of ships shown, a couple of scenes where you may have seen a couple of things. This in particular. Now on first glance you'd think that looks like a Type 9, but when you look at it again you realise it isn't a Type 9. It's something bigger than a Type 9. That cockpit is approximately a Lakon type cockpit, but it's not the Type 9 cockpit. It's actually bigger. So what is this? Is this the Type 10 that everyone's been talking about? Is this the new hotness? Now this is borne up by, this is the rear view of that very same ship. As you can see, it's definitely not a Type 9. It's got far more engines plastered on the back of that than a Type 9 ever has. And it's got a fin. I don't know if it's a stock fin or if it's a ship kit, but my assumption at the moment would be that it's a stock part. So this is not a Type 9. It's bigger than a Type 9. It seems to have the Lakon type design, so everyone is calling this the Type 10. And it looks extremely beefy. Hell of a lot of engines, so it's going to be packing a hell of a lot of power behind it, and I think it's going to be quite an interesting thing to look at. Now the last thing you would have a look at would be just at the very end of that trailer. There was this scene here, and again if you look towards the right of the screen there, you have another picture of what is potentially the Type 10. Now I'm going to call this a Type 10 because it's bigger than a Type 9, it looks like it's a Lakon design, and it looks like it means business, because it looks like on the end of it there it's got a little set of wings which look like they may hold weapons hardpoints. So I'm calling this Type 10 Defender. This is going to be a battleship to end all battleships, and I'm going to call it, at this point in time, given the Type 9 can carry fighters already, I'm going to call this a fleet carrier, because this looks like a huge bit of kit, station dockable, that is potentially going to be a combat platform. So yes, I think we're in for some pretty good stuff with that. Now the next thing that I was going to show you is a thing that I don't actually have any audio for, which is ironic because it's an audio thing. It's the new upcoming concept for Galnet audio, where your in-ship computer, or an approximation of, potentially a Galcop provided, edit that out, a Galnet provided piece of kit that essentially reads out all the news reports. So rather than you having to read the news reports yourself and take time out from actually watching what's going on inside your ship, you can now fly along your missions, fly along your exploration routes, do whatever it is you want to do, and the ship will read your news to you as well. So you'll be able to keep up to date with news and everything else that's going on, and still be able to do your stuff and your missions and carry on without having to sit and read walls of text, which will be awesome for perhaps those of us who are a little bit sight impaired, and those of us who really don't pay attention to Galnet, because the only reason being that we don't really pay attention because we haven't got time to, because we're kind of busy. So yeah, that looks like an interesting addition. There's not a lot more I can say to it really. I'm not sure when it's going to be coming, but I get the feeling it's going to be coming fairly soon because it looks like it's fairly done. But we'll see, won't we? We'll see. Let's put a different picture on. I'll go back to the roadmap. Not so much a roadmap, that is it? It's a topographical diagram. Not a lot of detail in there. Two main content updates through the year, then a Q1 major release. So looking at a major release, potentially at the start of the year by the look of it. So that could be quite interesting as well. So next we have the Guardians. Now again, I've got a video for this, but again there's no sound because of my silly broken thing. But the role of the Guardians in the existing universe is going to be slightly expanded as well from the look of it. A lot going on with them, and obviously they've been introduced and not really much has been made of them over the last few months. The Thargoids are now here, and we know that the Thargoids were around about the same time as the Guardians, or at least this is what we think. Are the Thargoids the big threat that the Guardians were talking about? Well, we're going to find out, because as you can see on the screen there, we have some active ruins to find with functioning and discoverable ancient technology, or Guardian technology. So, yeah, we can now recover relics, and from the look of some of the stuff that I saw, it's not in this video, but there have been images shown of weapons and equipment based on these yeah, not a great reaction from the Thargoid chap there. Based on these pyramid style or triangular cross-section obelisks. So we are looking at nicking some of their technology and potentially using it against the Thargoids. If that's the case, then this puts the Thargoids and the Guardian technology in direct conflict with each other, which does highlight something has gone on in the past. So the ongoing storyline of the Thargoids themselves and the ongoing story of the Guardians is moving forward. It has taken a back seat, the Guardian stuff, over the fact that the Thargoids are about to arrive, and in my opinion, and in the opinion of a few others out there who I know, obviously this has dragged on for a little bit longer than what I think everybody planned. So getting the Guardian story back on track again is going to be a very important thing to do, and it is coming. So we are looking at quite a lot of good stuff coming along that route as well. But let's take a look at a couple of those pictures, shall we? Now we've got obviously the Guardians there, and we're looking at a news broadcast there from the 7th of October. I've not seen that actually on Galnet as of yet, but apparently this is telling everybody, Selezen everybody? That's just self-aggrandization right there. That the active ruins have been discovered already, so we're already around about them. I don't know if this is something that's happened in game before the expos come around, or if it's something that they're building on themselves. So again, yes, here we go. We have the ancient obelisk. We've got active stuff happening. Everything is just kicking off. Now, as you can see, they're very reminiscent of Kryptonian crystals, aren't they? Very interesting to see where that's going to go. Is it going to be a similar type of mythology, a crystal-based technology that we can start to use? And again, obviously the Thargoids we know and love are not entirely happy with that concept, with that particular bit of kit. So, that's the Guardians. Looking again then at exploration, I don't have much in the way of imagery to show you on this one, because this was all mainly part of the conversations that were going on around what's happening. But the exploration side of things is going to get ramped up a notch by giving us new planet textures as you've already seen, revamped surface details as you've already seen, new phenomena and anomalies are going to be inserted. So we're going to have more things to find out there than what is currently there. So we're hopefully going to see something beyond the normal kind of stuff we've found so far. So not just planets and pulsars and stars and the occasional black hole. There's actually going to be a larger variety of things in each system to find, which is what exploration has been crying out for. They've also revealed that we're having some more equipment, so potentially new ways to explore, potentially new ways to scan things, potentially new technology out there to discover, to use, to make the exploration experience a lot more rich. But the big thing that they're going to do now, I'm interested in what way this is going to go. They've mentioned the concept of the Codex. Now this is going to be a Galactica encyclopedia, an Encyclopedia Galactica basically, where any exploration data that's brought back will be added to this Codex. So all of your information, whereas now you've got universal cartographics information as regards what people have found as far as exploration data is concerned, you're also now going to have this Codex, which will be an ongoing journal of discoveries across the galaxy, which is going to be pretty amazing. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be an absolutely amazing idea, and I'm really quite looking forward to it. And then we'll see what it is. But it does look as if it's going to be very, very good. So yeah, new stuff to find, new ways to find that stuff, and new ways to record that stuff, and at least have an idea where to go and find it again. Now it could expand on the bookmark concept as well, by saying that if something is in the Codex, you can click on it and it'll add you a bookmark, or a reference, or a waypoint that you can just fly to then and find it. And I think it's a great idea. I also would like to see where it's going to go as far as the player input into that is concerned. So whether you find something and then you can then write out a report, and then find it yourself, and then put that into the Codex as is, it's going to be a very interesting thing to do. So we'll see how that goes. I think it's got legs. I think, again, a lot of this stuff that we're talking about is building a framework to build on. So we're looking at the basics of a few new concepts going in place now, and then we'll see where it goes from there. What else have we got? That was the Guardians. That's it for the videos then. The last couple of things to talk about are some of the multiplayer aspects are going to get a bit of a revamp. Now this is the last of the official things that Frontier were talking about, and that's wing missions and squadrons. Now wing missions are the one thing that came out of the Expo that I am not overly keen on. Wing missions are missions that are going to be generated that can only be completed if you're part of a wing. It highlights a bit of a revamp to the wing connection, so they've revamped and improved the instancing as far as wings are concerned, so that they're going to be a bit more stable. But you also have the concept of joining up into a wing and doing a mission that you have to do as part of a group. A solo pilot cannot do it. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of multiplayer games, because I've always been a solo player. I play multiplayer because I have to in Elite. If I had the choice, I wouldn't. I don't mind being part of the community as far as the game itself is concerned. If I can talk to people in game, I'm quite happy to talk to them on comms, but I don't want to be forced to have to play with other people in order to achieve goals and accomplish missions. If they are missions that I don't have to do, if they're missions that are part of the ongoing story arc that I have to do inside a wing, I'm not going to be happy, because that means I'm not going to be able to take part. I have no friends. This is how it goes. But on that thing, I can see where it's a good thing for those who like the multiplayer aspects of the game. So yes, objectively, it's a good addition to the game. It's going to revamp multiplayer and give it a bit more depth and a lot more things to do, which is a good thing for the multiplayer part of the game. If it allows people in the PS4 and Xbox and PC world to all join up together and go and achieve stuff, then it can only be a good thing community-wise. So I do approve. Not for myself, but for everybody else. But the concept that this image is apparently highlighting is squadrons. Now what squadrons are, loosely put, they're guilds. So if you've played a lot of multiplayer fantasy games or that sort of thing, like EverQuest or Anarchy Online or anything like that, then you always have the concept of a guild that you can join, where you can be part of a larger group, like a self-contained player group basically, that can do whatever you want to do, and you can do everything together and be part of that team. And I assume that the point of it is to gain experience together, increase your levels together, do missions together, all that kind of stuff. But the significant part of it, as far as overall gameplay is concerned, as far as I can see, is that it will generate a respawn point, and it will allow carriers. So a fleet carrier will be available in your squadron that you can respawn at in your ship or you can respawn out with your ship. Not entirely sure how that would work. The details of it haven't really been made public. We only have a basic concept of it so far. But from the sound of it, it does sound to me as if things that the Type 9 and possibly the Chieftain are going to be the ships that are going to, or the bigger ships are those that are going to allow you to dock at them and use them as your base and respawn point. So it's an interesting concept. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I think it's got a lot of legs. It means that the one thing that was specified was that the fleet carrier would be a player-controlled vessel, one of the vessels that you can actually buy. So something you can dock at a space station, which means it's probably not going to be something that you can dock an Anaconda at, but you will be able to perhaps dock the smaller ships at this fleet carrier, and then take off later on. The mechanic for that, I'm looking forward to seeing. If it is what it sounds like it's going to be, it sounds like it's going to be a fairly involved thing to do, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they pull it off. And as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty much it. I'm going to finish on that lovely image of those little squadron ships flying off, and I'm looking forward to seeing where all these changes go. I mean, obviously, as far as I'm concerned, the planetary textures and the changes to exploration, giving us more things to do while we're out in the black, are the bits that I'm really keen on. The new ships I'm looking forward to. I really want to own a crate. I have done since day one, because the crate has always been the one that has been my go-to ship for small combat. But obviously, it's going to be a little bit bigger now. I think they've kind of reversed the roles of the Imperial Courier and the crate. The Imp Courier now is the small nippy ship, and I think the crate perhaps is going to be the slightly larger one. But I don't care. I'm still going to buy one and fly it and do shit with it because I like it. The Guardians against the Thargoids, yep, quite looking forward to that. As an afterthought though, I am going to go back and have a quick look at one of the other images captured from the game. And that's this image. On the whole, generally it looks like your average kind of Thargoid ship. But it's different enough to make me wonder if it's something a little bit on the different side. Now, this is from the teaser that I showed you at the start of this video, and I'm just wondering to myself if this teaser shows us potentially the arrival of another Thargoid faction, because these ships ain't green, these ships are purple, and they have a significantly different middle sector. So I'm wondering if there's something something different maybe coming. So we have been told that there are different factions of Thargoids, I believe, if I remember rightly. Someone said so on a stream earlier on. I was listening to Malik VR and he was talking about the Klaxians as being another Thargoid branch, because we've got the Oresrians, we knew that, and I knew that there was another branch beside the Oresrians, and obviously the Klaxians are the name for that branch, and I'm just wondering if that could be one or the other, because I remember the Oresrians were discussed in the original Dark Wheel novel as being mistaken for Thargoids, and although there's been a fair bit of retconning going on over the last couple of years, T. James's book, Out of the Darkness, did deal with the relationships between different factions of Thargoid society, whatever it may be. So this could be a potential ally, the enemy of my enemy is my friend type thing, or is it another person that's going to come along and kick our ass? Let's wait and see. I think we're up for a fun year. We know we're not getting space legs. Zakan Tanachi has gone public and said no space legs for you this year, no space legs for you next year. So we'll see how. We know that's not going to happen, so no point in crying about it anymore, is there, really? So we'll see where things go, but no space legs. Nothing's been mentioned about planetary landings on atmospheric planets yet. I'm hoping that the revamp of the graphics engines and exploration engine is going to hopefully move towards that kind of thing, but we'll see how things go. So yeah, to those of you, I'm about done, so to those of you watching on YouTube, thank you for watching the video. If you like it, and pop his like, share, subscribe stuff on it like you normally do. To those of you who are watching this, who tried to watch me tonight on Twitch, I do apologise for the brevity of the stream and the rage quit halfway through. But yes, I hope you watch this, I hope you enjoy it, and please come back next Monday for a Dangerous Monday, where hopefully Twitch will let me actually stream. Thank you everyone, and good night.